This is the examination of the hidden human condition.
You're listening to the Hidden Killers Podcast.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski.
We are talking with Scott Roeder of Evidence Room today, talking about the case against Kouri Richins for the alleged murder of her husband. This, of course, is the children's book author, to refresh your memory, if you will. She has filed a civil lawsuit against the estate of her dead husband, seeking what she believes she is owed in a prenuptial agreement, while she is going to be standing trial and she's charged with murdering that very husband. Getting things from the prenuptial agreement seems a little bit bizarre. The optics are absolutely horrible on this. Scott, what say you?
Well, here's my take on that. I thought about that for a little while today, and I think it's very interesting. And I think it comes down straight to the one issue is these lawyers need money to defend her, and there's a lot of money there to get experts that will jump on her side potentially and work on this case. So I think it's strictly a mechanical thing where I don't think at this point she cares about the optics because she's already being villainized in the papers and the news and whatnot. So I don't think you can really hurt that too much. I think that ultimately the lawyers would be successful in keeping that information out of her criminal trial because it's an unrelated thing. She is a wife. She is due whatever she's due. I'm sure she's due something. As a wife, I don't know if murdering your husband automatically bars you from collecting that, but certainly she's innocent until proven guilty. She is a widow. They were married. So I assume rightfully, regardless of the situation, she's due something. Certainly her case has not been adjudicated. She's assumed innocent until proven guilty. That's our Constitution. So I don't think that her prosecution will stand in the way of her collecting some money, and then that money would then go to fuel her defense. I think ultimately she'll be successful in getting some money from the estate, probably not exactly what she's asking for, but they'll give her some money, and I think that that money will be used for her defense, and I think that's probably what will happen regardless of the optics. She needs money to defend herself. I think she's probably due some money regardless of how morbid and awful that seems. But I don't think that her pending charges can be held against her because you're assumed innocent. And you also are allowed to fund your own defense.
But how often in a death case do you get alimony? I mean, that's designed for a marriage that comes to an end. This obviously came to an end, but it wasn't where he moved off to an apartment.
Assets, didn't they?
Well, he had moved a lot of assets. He had moved a lot of assets out of her name, so she couldn't get to them, so she couldn't touch them, because it appears that maybe he was starting to think about getting divorced. He had met with an attorney and such. So there were things of his that he had taken and moved. I think she's arguing for the home that they shared. But I don't know. I mean, would not all of that be up in the air and be not necessarily something that she just automatically gets, especially if she committed the murder? I mean, I know she's innocent until proven guilty, but
but hey, listen, the law is what the law is, and they were still married at the time of their death, and whether he moved assets into a trust or not, my understanding is that she had a premarital asset that would come into effect at the time of a divorce, where she would be due something. Listen, when you're married and you get divorced, most states divide those assets regardless of the pre-existing circumstances evenly. And he's now dead. She would be the sole survivor and surviving spouse. So I certainly think that she has a claim, and if she's found not guilty, she probably gets all of the assets to some degree. But I understand she had a premarital agreement. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or know how to interpret that to any degree of, sophistication. But I think from a common sense standpoint, because they can't be held against her, what's going on now, because she's still innocent, that she's going to get some money. I've never seen it happen like this before. I don't think I've ever seen a case where somebody is accused of killing their spouse and then tries to seize the estate assets for their defense. This is a first for me to hear about this. So it'd be curious to hear what the judges and all these people say. This is where good lawyering comes in, and trying to use the letters of the law in their benefit and favor. And, like I said, as gross and gory as it sounds, we don't know. She's not convicted yet. So she is due a defense. They were married. I think that she will probably get some assets for her defense. It's just, but we'll see.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.